Hey everyone, what's up? You have reached the page of Christopher Loki Collins. It is 2:21 p.m. on the 4th of February of 2012. This is my second segment on my new project. Okay, yeah. So I hope I don't have to do this again. I've done it like 5 times now. um, so today I was on YouTube and I came across this case about this girl who was kidnapped and viciously beaten by a group of other teenagers. And they said it was like 8 people were involved. I'm assuming only 7 did the beating and 1 was holding the camera, because that's the only thing that would make sense to me. And I guess they decided that they wanted to kidnap somebody and beat the crap out of her and videotape it and put it on MySpace or YouTube, or one of the two. And therefore, they made the plan and then they executed the plan. They actually kidnapped a girl, took her somewhere, and videotaped them beating the shit out of her. Their thought on this was that if they posted it on Facebook or whatever, that they would be infamous. Really, if you want to be famous for being a douchebag, then that's on you. But seriously, like, if I were to be famous, I'd want to be famous for a positive reason, not be known as the douchebag who helped like these other girls beat up this other chick for no reason at all, other than just a pure enjoyment, I guess you should say, or entertainment, as far as they may want to label it. So I came across that, and I realized that I do have a lot of issues, and I'm just being honest, as practicing my right to free speech. There are a lot of parts of our legal system that I don't completely understand nor agree with. I will cover those other things on a different segment. I just want to stick to this one. And it's that these kids were tried in court. All of them were tried in court and only given probation and a year, or not a year, like 100 days of community service. Even though they beat her so bad that when she was in the emergency room, her family couldn't even recognize her while she was on the emergency bed. But they only got community service and probation. And that makes me go, what the fuck is wrong with our legal system? I understand that they're teenagers, or that they were teenagers at the time. I don't know how old this case is really, but I understand that they're meant to the legal system. They're just teenagers, you know. They're not necessarily adults yet. But here's the problem with that. If I, for example, as a 30-year-old male, and this is just an example, everybody, I'm just saying, so yeah, so you all know me better than that. But for example, if I had done the same thing that these kids had done to that girl at 30 years old, as an adult, I would have been tried as an adult. I would have been actually placed in jail for however amount of time that they felt was necessary for doing that, because of the fact that it was a calculated plan. It was calculated, it was executed. That's what you see a lot of the adult killers and rapists and stuff do, is they'll sit there and they make a plan. They plan it and they plan it and they plan it, then they act it out. Once they have executed that plan, there's no going back. The damage is already done and will be further done. It's the same thing with these kids. They made a plan. They made a plan and they executed it. They knew that what they were doing was wrong. They were only doing it, their excuse for doing it was so that they could be famous on the internet. And it is beyond my comprehension of why the fact that these kids were able to just walk away without serving any time. They were able to just walk away. Yeah, okay, so you have to, you have to report to a probation officer. Big whoop-de-fucking-do. Yeah, you've got to do 100 days of community service. Again, big fucking whoop-de-do. That, I don't know what that's supposed to teach anybody, but, whatever. I mean, I can't really do anything about the legal system. It's not like I could walk in and be like, we need to change a lot of these fucking laws and it's gonna happen. Because it's not. And this is shit that we've dealt with for centuries. I mean, for years. I mean, you look at the kids from Columbine. They went in there and they massacred the whole school. And then they died. And people wanted to sit there and put the blame somewhere else. Which, just so you know, I'm going into this piece because it also has to do with what I was just talking about. And the thing that this case had in common with one of the things that came from the Columbine shootings and like Bowling for Columbine, for example, Michael Moore, I loved that movie. He did a great job. I'm glad he did it. And I'm glad he interviewed Marilyn Manson in it because I think that was like a really good idea. And Manson, I loved what Manson had to say, so totally works out. But, everybody wants to blame media. That's another thing I can't stand. Is everyone wants to blame media in some way, shape, or form. Be it music, be it movies, be it TV shows, be it books you read, be it video games you play. There's always blame put on that instead of people actually going, okay, well, what is really the real issue? What is the real problem? Why do these kids feel this way? Why do these kids feel the need to do this? And that's and I'm sorry, like, I listen to Marilyn Manson, I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to Marilyn Manson, I listen to a bunch of industrial bands, I listen to Korn, I listen to Pink, I listen to Kelly Clarkson. Like, I'm very versatile in my music. But the point is for like Bowling for Columbine, that they were saying is that these guys listened to a lot of Marilyn Manson, wore a lot of black, played, read about serial killers, played violent games, watched violent movies, watched violent shows, and there you go. That's the basis for why these kids went through their school and shot everybody up, is because of the music they listen to and the movies they watch. The guy's also bowled. What the fuck does bowling have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. They went bowling. They went bowling the day before they went, and the day that they shot up the school. Like, the point in the bowling thing, I don't really know. But these kids obviously had deeper issues going on. And the problem is that nobody took the time to talk to them. Or not even just talk to them, just sit there and listen. Marilyn Manson said it best in Bowling for Columbine when Michael Moore did his interview with him. And Michael Moore asked him, he said, if you could say anything to those kids, what would it be? He said, I wouldn't say anything. I'd listen. Because that's obviously what they needed, was just somebody to sit there and listen. Now, this is the guy that a lot of parents want to blame their kids' unruly behavior on. Yet he's the one sitting there going, I would just sit there and listen to them. If we just sat there, we listened to all these kids that were so angry inside and so pent up inside, just sat there and let them talk and just listened, I think it would make a big difference. The problem is society as a whole, a lot of people in society as a whole, I should say, instead of looking in on themselves and going like, what could I have done to help this kid? What could I have done to help this person? That way things would have been differently. Then maybe life wouldn't be as freaking crazy as we pretty much let it be. If we stop putting the blame on everything else that is minute, then we can better focus on the problems at hand. What's really going on? What's really going on with these kids? What would drive 8 kids to kidnap a girl and beat the living shit out of her? close to death because and want to tape it and put it on the internet? Is it really about being famous, or these kids just got so much pent up anger and so much shit going on that they don't know how to to act on it in a positive manner instead of in such a negative manner? You know, I don't know these kids personally who did what they did, and to be honest, I want not to be a dick, I don't really want to. Those aren't really people that I'd want to know, you know. But it also does beg to question, in my mind, what else was going on with these kids in their lives to push them to into making such a violent and vicious decision like they did, you know. And if it is like personal stuff going on at home, like abuse or anything like that, then that also leads into, this is why we need to talk to our youth. Parents, when you see like there's something wrong, talk to them. Sit down and talk to them. And just be like, hey, you look really depressed lately, you know, your grades are slipping, you know, you seem to be kind of like really like kind of closing yourself into your room a lot. Is there something going on, you know, that you would like to talk about? And then once you open that gateway and they start talking, just shut the fuck up and sit there and let them talk. Listen to everything they've got to say, because sometimes all any of us need is just to have someone sit down, shut up, and listen. That's all. Sometimes that helps. You would be amazed at how the power of talk and listening can do for somebody. Yeah. So I basically just really needed to get that off my chest. Like I said, I'm starting to do a project where I actually want to approach things outside of just my transition and whatnot. Please feel free to leave comments. Actually, I really encourage comments. Also, please feel free to message me if you are somebody who does need somebody to just sit and listen to you, or, you know, even if it's just you have to write it to me in an email. I'll read it, and you know, I'll reply back, you know, even if it's just like, you know, thank you for sharing your story with me, you know. If you ever need anyone to talk to, you know, just hit me up on here, and I'll gladly respond back if you just need to vent or whatever. Because I could be a pretty understanding and helpful person sometimes, especially if I can relate to what you're going through. And if I can't relate to what you're going through, I can at least try to help find websites or numbers that you could call to get the help that you feel like you need that you're not getting. So yeah, with that said, I love all of you. I hope that you enjoy these videos, and I hope you guys all have a good weekend. Peace.